Wake up, buyer payer people. It's a beautiful day. Go grab yourself another cup of joe and say hello to Jim and Michelle Rhodes on the Buy Here Pay Here morning show. Take it away, you two.
Good morning. Happy White Hat Wednesday.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, we hope you've had a very successful week thus far. We wished you well on Monday, and we just wanted to remind you all, those of you who are paying attention to what we're doing on Mondays, Management Mondays.
Right.
And just wanted to make sure that y'all, if you've created those lists of things that you could hand off, that you've chosen the thing that would have the most impact, that you have someone that could do that task for you, and that you're starting to write down the steps and all of the things that go along with that.
Who knew when you tuned into a morning show, you'd get homework? I mean, who knew?
I actually, someone was saying, so what kind of stuff are you guys going to teach on the morning show? And I said, nothing or everything that doesn't require homework, or that we can teach a audience of 100 plus. And yeah, I've already backtracked on that one. So homework, and if you're like, hey, don't do that again, let us know, and we won't. But we're kind of thinking that it's a good thing, just to kind of give people little bits of, you can learn something here, and let's work together as a team to help improve.
I think they're learning.
I think so. Bill, Good morning, Bill, and we've got a couple of Facebook users that said good morning.
I'll try to get in and see who that is and figure out how to say hello back to you.
Yes,
and thanks for tuning in, folks.
So there's a couple of things we wanted to announcements. Jim, do you want to talk about?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I want to get the word out about the TIADA Texas has created a course. It's like a mini course or an on-demand course for the safeguards rule that's coming up. Where those rules or those new guidelines take effect come December. So we all need to be ready for that. And we can share the link in the comments on Facebook and some other places where you can go and get registered for the course that Texas created. It's only $75 and then $49. And it comes with a certificate. There's some materials that come with it, sample policies and procedures, et cetera. So really valuable course for everybody across the country. You don't have to be a Texas member to get access to that course. So we'll share the link to that particular course, but again, just $75 to get that thing knocked out, and it's a great way to make sure you're ready for December.
Because it's coming for everybody. This is something everybody has to make sure that they've addressed. Another thing is, okay, so we want you to save a date. Okay, so more homework, right? I want if y'all can write down the date of October 19th. We want you to save that date because we've got something that's coming up, and we're not really ready to talk a lot about it, but we just want you to set that date, be somewhere maybe that you can have.
Well, let's just say you might want to get somebody else to go to the auction in your place that day. How's that?
How about that?
Yeah.
So,
this is an important day. We'll be announcing more about that in the days to come, but just know that that's a date that we have something fun planned, and we think it's going to be an interesting day. So October 19th, a Wednesday, White Hat Wednesday, will be a special Wednesday. So yes.
So October 19th. Do we have anything else?
No. Shall we bring in our guest?
Yeah. All right. Well, we would like to welcome. Hey.
Good morning.
Good morning. The only person we know that has his own hashtag.
Right. I mean, we were there when it came to be a thing, and so we're also the Facebook thing that got that kicked off. So
it makes me wonder whether or not people know your last name.
Right.
Yeah.
Just find the hashtag.
Yeah,
you can find the guy.
I think they used to, but this year in Vegas, my name had officially been changed. Yeah, nobody called me by my name in Vegas. Yeah.
That's all good.
Yep. So Bret Buike from Buckeye Dealership Consulting is here with us today, and we invited him to come in and kind of chat about some of the things that his history and it is White Hat Wednesday. And so part of it is Bret is out there all the time helping dealers be better through the, his consulting through the company that he works with right now, but also in trying to help different parts of his community and the community at large become better. And we'll be talking about that in just
that's really what prompted us to kind of reach out to Bret this time. And we talk to Bret regularly. He's somebody we know well in the industry. And so I just reached out to him and said, we see what you're doing with your fundraiser, and we want to have you on and talk about that. And so we look forward to getting to that. And first, we got somebody who is so well traveled, which, by the way, Bret, many months ago, we kind of had a fun little challenge to each other on the Ironman competition, which is ironing shirts.
Yeah.
I just want to tell you this morning, I'm prepared to concede. I can see the kind of miles you cover and how many shirts you must iron.
Yeah.
So it's all you, buddy.
Well, and he, just so you know, Bret, he actually ironed a shirt this morning.
I did.
Oh, did he? All right, good.
When I walked into the ironing board is sitting in our podcast studio right now.
Right.
And I was like, honey, are you ironing something?
That's White Hat Wednesday.
Yeah, my mother and my wife will tell you that I have been ironing my t-shirts and shirts and jeans since middle school.
Even your jeans.
Yeah. I've always been wound a little tight. And,
okay, there you go.
Yeah, things needed to be all in their place and kind of perfect. And the hair has been a work in process for a long time. So yeah, I like things to be a little orderly for sure.
So I went to a cowboy college in the 80s, and we even ironed our jeans with starch.
Absolutely. I'm a Niagara man. I use Niagara.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, you can see Bret's definitely out there in front.
Yeah.
And also, if we ever have an Ironman competition where they're actually running and lifting weights, I'll concede that one to you as well.
Yeah.
So. Okay. Oh, yeah. All right. I'll take it.
And some of the other, we've had a lot of fun with Bret just as colleagues too. That we did last year was the queso tour, and queso so tour. Bret and his wife joined us on that, and that's kind of fun. And then most recently, we have done some continuations. The queso tour is. Most recently has been the Smoked Old Fashioned tour.
Smoked Old Fashioned,
yes. And Bret has joined us on that as well. And we had the opportunity to all enjoy some old fashions together when we were in Texas for TIAGA. Yep.
That's been my favorite one so far.
My gosh.
Tour.
Yeah. I got to get the recipe. I found the machine that does the smoking. You can buy it on Amazon. So I just got to get the recipe, but then we'll become luscious officially because they're so delicious. I don't remember.
Exactly.
But
the bad news is it's kind of ruined me for a cocktail without any smoke. Like it just,
it does. Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Kind of, what's the word? Underwhelming.
Underwhelming.
Yeah.
So
now they want to know what sneakers I got on. So.
Yeah.
Can we?
What color you got on?
I got the Buckeye sneakers on today.
Got the Buckeye sneakers.
Got the Buckeye sneakers.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So let's talk about let's get back to the start of your career, Bret, and how you came to be in the car business and then the buy here, pay here business. Did you jump right into buy here, pay here? Is that where you started?
No, not really. So I grew up with a father in the car business. He started off in the new car business and was a general manager of a couple of different stores for a long period of time. And then, back in 1994, they kind of moved. They had like a little lot across the street from one of their Chevy dealerships. And they decided, man, like, let's get into this buy here, pay here business. And my dad's partner at the time had been at what they called like an education event. And it was Jim DeVoe, who, at the time was the owner of JD Byrider. And he gave a presentation and they thought it sounded like a really good idea. And so in 1994, they purchased a construction trailer with 2 offices, a bathroom, and 2 metal steps, put a plastic sign out front. And they were officially in the buy here, pay here business. And so that's how my dad got into it. And, growing up, I did everything I could to stay out of the car business. I went into the Navy after high school. Yeah.
Did that work for you?
Not well. I got sucked in. I definitely got sucked in. Yeah, I went to the Navy, and then I was actually a paramedic firefighter. And then I was going to college, and I took a semester off, because I needed some money, and I already had 2 kids at the time, and I went to work for my dad. And 8 months later, I was a salesperson, and couple of years after that, I was a general manager, and then we had one of his partners who wanted to retire, and then I bought him out, and that's how I kind of went, all in and got into the mainly the buy here, pay here side of our business. And so fast forward 24 years, we had 7 locations across Ohio and Pennsylvania, and it was 200 cars a month, about 5,500 to 6,000 accounts at any given time. And it was a lot of work. But, I was very lucky to, had a father who built something pretty great. And I was even luckier to be surrounded by his peers and learn a lot about the business along the way.
There's something about your math that's not working, because you look like you're only 28 years old now.
Yeah.
So I'm not following how that's working.
I'm 41. I'm 41.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah, 41.
Well, and when I see all these posts you're doing on Facebook about kids heading off to college, and
Just dropped one off.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Been there. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seeing quite a bit of that on Facebook. A lot of people that we know, people are doing the same thing this week. So it's time to get back to school.
So
Back to school for sure.
Yeah. How did you transition out of working at a dealership?
Yeah. So in 2016, 15 or 16, JD Byrider Corporate was actually bought out by a hedge fund. And so they were going around buying up other large franchisees in an effort to grow their own portfolio and then kind of securitize their debt to, show growth. And we just happened to be one of the organizations that they wanted, one for, footprint reasons, Byrider obviously being in Carmel, Indiana, and us being logistically pretty close to them. And then also, we were a substantial portfolio, and, my father made sure, along with the help of a lot of very long-term good employees, that we ran a very clean operation, very consistent. And so we were just, I think, an obvious choice for them. And for us, it was just kind of perfect timing, for my father. He had, put his 40 years in, and he was ready to attempt to retire, and which hasn't worked out for him. He is now all back into it with 6 more stores.
Oh, wow.
But but
you retired.
so we just got lucky. Yeah. I attempted to retire from the car business, but it did not work out.
It sounds like you were successful at retiring from the actual running a dealership part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And,
so for a little while, and then once we sold, I kind of was trying to figure out what kind of dealer I wanted to be, new car dealer. So I went and worked at a friend of mine's new car store, and I mean, it was fun, but it definitely wasn't the same. And then I had another friend who was an independent used car dealer, and I went and worked for him for a little while, and that's when my eyes really opened to what it means to be an independent, and how much more fun that was, and the flexibility that they had, and a unique set of challenges for sure, especially if you're a new independent dealer. But once you've matured and you've grown, it was just a lot of fun. And so I was working at a group of stores. We had 3 locations, 200, 250 cars a month, and was having a really good time. Just trying to learn that side of the business. And then, along comes, Rob Fox over at Buckeye. And, he had an offer, wanted to have a conversation with me about putting off owning my own store and coming to work for him instead. And at the time, I thought he was crazy, but he's very persuasive. And
he is.
I met with Rob, and I met with AJ, and then ultimately I met with Jason Gosnell. And it just seemed like a really great opportunity for me to be in the car business without having to, start a new dealership. And, how time consuming that can be. And I have 5 children. So it was an opportunity for me to stay close to the car business without having to, disappear. And
yeah, for sure.
Disappear from my family to start a new dealership. So it's that was 2.5 years ago. So it's been great.
Right. As we said before we started, we're obviously not here to promote anyone, but I will say Buckeye, quality people, quality
Yeah.
company. We've known those folks for a long time.
And reinsurance. So, if you're looking for that, they're a really good company.
Anything
to
you
take
need
a
to
peek
know
at.
about reinsurance, you just hit hashtag Buckeye Brett and find a guy. He can tell you.
And apparently, I don't know how Brett does it, but if we called at the same time, he picks up the phone.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Because you're the man.
Always.
Yeah, for sure. Good
That's
stuff.
fantastic.
Yep, it's always been available to us too. So I got to ask you a quick question though. It's been on my mind.
Yeah.
Do you have a GoPro?
No, I don't, but I probably should. Yeah.
Yeah, you should pick one up. And here's what I'm thinking. I see the day, Brett, that's going to happen that you're going to have a flight canceled, and you're going to end up having to throw on a backpack and run like a Forrest Gump style run.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make sure that you have a GoPro when that day.
So that
just,
it can be,
we want to see that whole thing chronicled whenever that does go down. So it's inevitable.
Okay. Yeah, one of these that might be fun. Maybe that's my next charity thing. Maybe instead of doing the Goggins challenge or something like that, I find a dealer who's about 50 to 100 miles away, and I run to him. And see how many dealers I can catch along the way. That could be fun.
You didn't know about me. You didn't know that about me, that I'm clairvoyant. So that's in your future.
That would be fun. That would be fun.
So,
but it also helps. I start my days pretty early, and so I get instant messages and text messages and phone calls, usually starting about I don't know, anywhere around 5:30 in the morning.
From where? You're on East Coast.
Yeah. So just different dealers who will message me and they're like, "Hey, I know you're awake. I've got a quick question, or can you call me today, or whatever." Yeah. So it starts pretty early, but
you're not texting on the treadmill, are you? Are you texting?
Yeah. I've taken phone calls on treadmills. I've taken phone calls while running, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And I'm running.
It's like, because you sound like you're breathing heavy. That's awesome.
Well, so let's talk about your travels with the industry. While we have the opportunity, we got somebody who's been out there pounding the pavement and logging all those sky miles. You obviously working with independents too, but for our sake of our audience here, we're talking about buy here, pay here, and I just wonder what you're seeing out there. In the buy here, pay here space, like what are dealers struggling with? We all see cost of cars. That's a big shift, right? But besides that, what are you kind of seeing that you think dealers need help with as a group?
So it's kind of interesting because I'm having two conversations almost at every single store I go to, and they're polar opposite conversations. So one dealer is worried about car prices, and he's they're trying to just learn to do more with less and squeeze as much water out of the rock that they have and maintain. They're not really worried about growing right now. They're more worried about shrinking. And then the exact opposite is true, where everyone else is like, tell me how to open a second location. Like, how do I grow? And it doesn't really seem like there's a lot in between. So people are either being really, really aggressive right now, or maybe being what I would call like just a little overcautious. I think that, the buy here, pay here space is one of those things that, you do have to be careful, because it's not the decisions we make today that hurt us, right? It's the ones we made 6 months ago, 12 months ago. If we get too aggressive and, you wake up and all of a sudden your portfolio is on fire. But when you talk about car prices and you talk about the market, I tell, anybody who's been in this business a long time, like when you started, what were your ACVs? What were your weekly and monthly payments?
Right.
And they're like, "Oh man," I'm like, and you swore back then that if you were ever where you were at today, you'd be out of business. Yet here we are. So it's like, listen, man, like, it really comes down to, it's just putting a good portfolio together, knowing your market, not being crazy about necessarily changing your business model, but, 10 $5,000 cars and 5 $10,000 cars still kind of, hold the portfolio the same way. And I think that, people should just kind of, do their thing, ask good questions, definitely network with people, and just try to muscle through this until, the next cycle for us shows up, which I believe is coming. I think a lot of people believe it's coming, that, things are going to be really good for buy here, pay here again. But, we have to be ready to seize that moment when it comes. and shrinking right now is not the way to prepare.
So I got to throw something in here real quick. Disclaimer, neither the host nor the guest of the BHPH morning show make predictions, nor do they make political commentary.
Right.
What I can say is you're going through that thing about, two different groups of people. I just wonder, and you can just kind of watch and see what news station they have on. Sometimes I feel like people feel like is about the outlook of the economy and the future of everything might have to do with which news station they're watching. I'm not saying anything about either one.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like people are in different camps based on that economic outlook, and it's tied to politics a lot of times.
It is. And, one of those, weird kind of motivational comments, that I always refer back to is, where you get your information and, the 5 to 10 people you spend the most time with, that's your network, right? And your network absolutely determines your net worth. Right. And, if every morning you're going to the auction and talking to the same 5 guys about how scary everything is, that's not great. And, and that is why, I'm always, pushing these guys like, hey, the Facebook groups are great.
Right.
And there's a lot of good information in there. There's also a lot of bad information, and there's a lot of negativity for the sake of being negative, maybe because it's funny, and it doesn't necessarily accurately represent the current state of things. And so always highly encourage, continue to grow your network, use your vendors, like me and like you guys to link up with. I get those calls all the time, Bret, who do you know in this state, or who do you know that's really good at this, or who do you know it's that? And I'm always trying to help clients solve problems or kind of get out of their own way. And not by me just sitting there and browbeating them, but like, hey, like, don't talk to me, like, go talk to this guy because they are, fantastic at it, or, have a conversation with him. And that's why I think that, that Facebook groups are great, but, access, to your state associations and a group of dealers who have kind of committed to, trying to do the right thing, or things the right way, is just going to be really, really important, going forward, because, the legal landscape is always changing. The way that we're buying cars, where's the new honey hole? Where's a great opportunity to start buying cars off the street, or do this or do that? And I think a lot of buy here, pay here dealers, especially ones who've been doing it a long time, they go to work every day, they put their head down, and they just keep doing their thing. And it's like, man, just look up for a minute and realize that, the answers that you need, like they're right here. You just got to get out of the store for a couple hours and go find them.
Yeah. To that negativity, I've got a ton of momisms. Moms are supposed to have momisms. And one of the things that I've really drilled with my kids is what you consume, you become. So that's everything. So if if you consume negativity, you become negative. If you consume positivity, you become positive. If you consume good food, you become healthy. If you consume bad
cheesecake,
food,
what if you consume cheesecake?
Well, and we had a thing about pineapple upside down cake last night, but that's another story.
Oh, it's my favorite.
I've had, I could squirrel on that one so much, but so it's just staying positive, and that there's a lot to be grateful for, and there's a lot to be looking at things through a different lens of, hey, this is a great opportunity, and so how can we prepare for this opportunity?
Yeah, for sure. So I want to jump over and start to one quick other question for you though, Bret, on what do you see dealers kind of struggling with? Is there something in common that you're seeing that, people are kind of having a common struggle?
And it's something that, my father and I as dealers struggled with for a long time too. And I kind of most closely relate it to what we would consider like a confirmation bias, right? It's like, we know our markets and we know our dealership, and dealers will say things like, well, my customers and, my this and my that and my market. And it's like, man, it's all so much the same. And as you guys travel and I do, we all have the same problems. We all have the same kind of issues. And when you talk to a dealer about like, oh, my average down payment is this, or, my average monthly payment, and my customers can't afford anymore. Or my customers, it's like, listen, like, if your customer walked in the dealership right now and I asked the customer what your average down payment was, they wouldn't know. they wouldn't know what your average monthly payment is. They don't know those things. So
Right.
I think sometimes we take our concerns about the business and it's like a little paralysis by analysis, and then we just assume that because, the most our customers can afford is, $406 a month, that nobody looks into changing your deal structure a little bit, pushing that term a little bit. And I just think, again, it comes back to just educating yourself and networking. Is I think sometimes dealers, and Jim, you say this all the time too, is you get so close to your business and you spend so much time working in it, and not enough time working, on it, that you maybe make some decisions, or there's some truths about your business that maybe aren't as true as you think they are, and you could take a little more risk, or you could stretch a little bit. And then that would be, that phantom, everybody in the entire country is looking for that extra 3 to 5 cars a month. And more often than not, those deals are already there. We're just missing them for some silly reasons and roadblocks that we've put in place, not that the market or the customers have.
Yeah, that's a good point. Something I learned outside of Buy Here, Pay Here that we're now trying to introduce to dealers is this idea that sometimes we think we know what the customer wants. Like outside the Buy Here, Pay Here business might be a product. We go design and invent a widget because we think that's what the market needs, and so we're going to go sell this widget that we created instead of going to the market, figure out exactly what the problem is. So in our case, what you're talking about is, as dealers, we need to make sure we really understand what our customers want, need, expect. We'll have a much better chance to be successful in any business, really. But that's part of marketing, is just not assuming that we know what the customer wants. Let's go make sure that we know what the customers in our market are really looking for.
Yeah, we've done some really interesting with some of our clients surveys of their customers, and it's been fun to watch the reaction of the dealers when they get the results back. It's like, oh, I didn't realize that, this is what they thought, and
we do the same thing. All those Facebook polls you see us doing, we learn stuff, like the information that comes back. Sometimes we're surprised. We think we travel a lot. We think we know what dealers, want, need, think, where their kind of pressure points are, but we get surprised from time to time. So you got to just go ask.
Yeah.
So
we want to get to the thing.
Yeah. Your campaign. So share with us a little bit about this Goggins challenge.
Yeah. So, the Goggins challenge is, it's basically named after its creator. There's this crazy guy out there, and he is an ex-Navy SEAL, big motivational person. And he created this challenge, which is you run 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours, typically without sleep. So you're running, at 8 at night, midnight, 4 in the morning, 8 in the morning, noon, 4 in the afternoon. And you just keep doing it for 2 days until you've run about, 48, 50 miles. And the purpose of it is to just kind of break through your own, mental barriers, and, prove that you can push yourself. And, a lot of what he says is, you gotta take that little voice in your head that tells you can't, and then basically just beat them into submission. And I can assure you that this event, it does a pretty good job. I honestly think it would be easier to just run 50 miles than it is to stop and start, to, stay awake, find the motivation, loosen your body up and things like that. So 2 years ago, I was in the gym one day coming up on my 40th birthday, and a friend of mine who's also in the car business was there, and I was listening to this guy's book, and I was like, you know what? I got an idea. Like, let's do this together, and then let's raise some money for causes that matter to us. And Bob and I have both lost people to drug and alcohol addiction. And I've lost, my nephew he was an Army veteran, to suicide. And it has been very difficult for me and for my family to kind of, just process and deal with these things. And clearly I'm definitely not over it. But it was a way for me to, kind of honor them and give back. And I was like, let's do it. And so we did it. And, I started posting all my posts and doing my push-ups and running. And the next thing I know, we had, as many as 35 participants at any one event, and people, complete random strangers, showing up at 4 o'clock in the morning, at a gas station to start running 4 miles with us out in the street. And it was, and, people messaging us and sending pictures of the, loved ones that they've lost and things like that. And it was pretty amazing. And, And in the process, we raised just under $41,000 in 2 weeks.
Nice. Beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah. So we split that money up, and we sent almost half of it to Mission 22, which is who started that 22 push-up challenge for veteran suicide. And then the other half went to an organization in the Cleveland area called Recovery Resources. And Recovery Resources is a drug and alcohol, addiction clinic. They do a lot of really good work. My friend Bob is actually on their board. And so my son, Brandon, is actually my nephew, and his mother, you follow the family tree here. His mother was my wife's baby sister, and she died of a heroin overdose almost 12, 13 years ago now.
Yeah.
And so it's just something that was important to me. And I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to raise some money. And, it has been very kind of therapeutic for me to do this event, to do some good, and to kind of just, keep remembering them. And it's going really well. So I appreciate all your guys' support. So
No, you're absolutely welcome. Jim and I, when we saw you were doing this, both of us have in our families addiction, and
most families do.
Most
I mean,
families
it's
do.
widespread. It's common.
And so we took the opportunity to support what it is that you're doing, and we really are, people that are in the middle of, people that have addiction and then they're in a negative spiral. Whatever help we can offer is, it helps someone's son or someone's daughter or someone's wife or someone's husband or child or whatever. So we sent in our support, a donation to that, and we're really encouraging our listeners that if you have been touched by addiction in your family and want to be able to do something to help, please. We're going to add the link to this challenge that Bret is doing for raising the money, and
I just added it in the success group for Buy Here Pay Here. For those that aren't there, we'll get it added to the the feed on the other places. We're out there also on YouTube and LinkedIn, Bret. So we'll get that shared over there as well.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm not going to be at a gas station meeting you to.
That's okay.
It's a little bit out of the way for Cleveland. If I were to show up, it would just be to hand you some water.
That's fine.
Right.
But
and again, and the ways to. So the idea for me is, obviously we're running 4 miles every 48 hours, every 4 hours for 48 hours. And what we were able to do last year was, people sent us messages, and they would send me messages about their family member and someone struggling or someone they've lost.
Right.
And the idea is to run each mile for someone and try and raise money in honor of that person.
Beautiful.
So before every event, I'll talk about who I'm running for and why. I had some banners made. Actually, one of my clients also owns a business and called Signations, and he does all my shirts and signs, and he made me some banners, and everybody came and signed the banner in black, and then they would write the person that they were running for, they lost, in silver. And so I have these 2 huge banners filled up with all these names of people I didn't know and pictures that were sent in. So even if you can't participate, tell me who I'm running for, or who you want me to, run in honor of, and I will gladly recognize that person and do the running for you.
We'll do that. And how do we submit that from a distance?
Yeah, so you can just send it to me straight through Facebook. I'll put an email, my email address out there. People can email it right to me. So last year, like I said, it was, I showed up to one of my races at 8 o'clock at night at a high school track that had like a cross country course that I was running, and there was 35 people there.
That's so beautiful.
So, it was pretty cool. And I could tell you, when I finished that first one, I was obviously very tired, and so I went upstairs and came downstairs all kind of cleaned up, and my wife, she was like, "So how's it going?" And I just completely melted down after the end of it. Yeah, was just overwhelmed by the support and what Bob and I were able to accomplish and raising $40,000, and it was So it was really good. And as long as my legs will carry me, I think I'll keep trying to do stuff like this to help out.
Good
That's
for you.
beautiful.
I've told you before. I'll tell you again. You are an inspiration to many.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it very much.
Well, Bret, thank you so much for joining us and sharing what it is that you're working on, and also sharing your wisdom to all of the people out there that are listening. We really, really appreciate it, and appreciate what you're doing to help improve the industry by
Yeah.
helping educate and helping dealers be better.
Let us help you. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
we're
absolutely.
to help you help this industry. We're all about, you know, making the life easier for dealers and creating a better customer experience in the process. So one last reminder before we close up, Michelle, I want to remind everybody, October 19th, if you missed that at the start, be sure and circle that on your calendar. Let's make sure, and we'll give you more details in the days to come.
Yeah. We'll have more coming up.
Mhm.
Again, thank you very much. Happy White Hat Wednesday, everybody. We will see you on Friday, and we really don't have anything to announce before that. So we'll
figure it out about 7 a.m.
Yeah.
Well, have a good day. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. Have a great day, everybody.